Everything you hold on to is heavy, but no one told you you can simply let go. From the very first breath we took, we learned to carry. Carry hopes, names, faces, roles, like silent stones placed in our hands by invisible forces, family, society, culture. Fear. They gave us no choice. Before we could even speak, we were already carrying the weight of expectations, the weight of the name we were given, the weight of the history that came before us, the weight of what we were supposed to become. A mother looks at her newborn baby and already sees a doctor, a lawyer, an extension of her own unfulfilled dreams. A father holds his small child and shapes his hands to grasp a ball, an instrument, a tradition, not out of malice, but because they, too, were taught to carry and to pass it on. And so the accumulation begins, the first brick placed on our backs while still in the crib. We become travelers burdened with invisible baggage, each expectation, a stone, each dream, a chain. And so we walk, proudly sometimes, angrily often, but mostly unconsciously. Do you remember the exact moment you learned to hide your pain? That first time someone told you, "Boys don't cry," or "Be strong, girl." The precise instant you swallowed your tears and added one more weight, the burden of pretending you don't feel. The weight shaped our posture, bent our spirit, silenced our laughter. Watch the people on the subway, on the bus, in lines. See how their bodies tell stories of invisible weight. Slouched shoulders bear decades of unfulfilled expectations. Tense necks carry years of unspoken words. Downcast eyes hide universes of suppressed desires. Restrained smiles imprison joys that were never allowed to fully exist. We are a kind of modern-day atlas, each one carrying their own world on their shoulders. And unlike the mythological Titan, we don't even receive recognition for our burden. We carry it silently, believing that everyone feels the same weight, that this is simply life as it is. No one ever stopped us along the way to ask, is this really yours to carry? What would it be like to live without that burden? What would it be like to breathe without the constant pressure on your chest? Can you even imagine? And so we go on day after day, accumulating more. We collect sorrows as if gathering stamps. We keep rejections like trophies. We embrace failures as if they were vital parts of who we are. That time you were ridiculed at school. You're still carrying it. That cruel word your father said when he was drunk, it still weighs on you. That relationship that ended 10 years, it's still on your back, disguised as a lesson learned, as a necessary scar. We carry the burden of dead relationships, like ghosts that refuse to leave. We store past versions of ourselves in boxes within our chest, taking up space that could house the new, the living, the present. We keep abandoned dreams on display on the shelves of our minds, letting them gather dust while pretending we'll one day return to them. And with each year, each disappointment, each victory that failed to fill the emptiness, we add more weight, more stones into an already overflowing backpack. This is how character is built, they say. This is how you become resilient, they claim. We thought strength meant holding on. We thought wisdom meant enduring. Be strong, they say. Don't give up, they insist, as if letting go were weakness, as if releasing were defeat, as if surrender were synonymous with failure. See how we've normalized suffering. See how we've romanticized the struggle. Life is hard, we repeat like a mantra, without ever questioning why we make it even harder by carrying unnecessary weight. But what if we've been wrong? What if true strength has never been about how much we can bear, but about how freely we can move? What if true strength lies in opening our hands, in letting the stones fall where they may? There is a different kind of strength, not the kind that holds on, but the kind that lets go. Not the kind that hardens, but the kind that flows. Not the kind that resists, but the kind that accepts. Look more closely at the world. The trees do not cling to their leaves in winter. The waves do not cling to the shore. The sun does not regret setting. Nature does not know attachment the way we do. There is no anxiety in the river flowing toward the sea. There is no fear in the seed opening itself to become a plant. There is no resistance in the moon surrendering to the new cycle. Autumn does not beg the leaves to stay. The beach does not plead with the wave to remain. The night is not a failure of the day. It is simply the other side of the dance. All of nature exists in a state of letting go and receiving, of emptying and filling, of dying and being reborn. Only we, with our inflated egos and tormented minds, cling as if our very existence depended on it. And we, the so-called wise, clutch our sorrows, our fears, and our identities with desperate hands. We hold on so tightly that our fingers bleed. We cling so desperately that we forget why we started holding on in the first place. Attachment becomes the purpose, the very reason for existence. We are like a man dying of thirst, who refuses to drink from the fountain because he cannot let go of the empty cup he clutches. Within you there is a silent cry, a yearning for release. You feel it late at night when the world is quiet enough for you to hear your own breathing, a longing not to win but to surrender. It's that moment, right before you fall asleep, when your defenses drop and you feel a fleeting sense of relief. It's that sensation of lightness that appears unexpectedly during a walk in nature, when for a second you forget who you are supposed to be and simply are. It's that rare instant of flow when you are completely absorbed in something you love, and the weight suddenly seems suspended. These are glimpses of what could be, the freedom that awaits you on the other side of attachment. But surrender to what? To the very current of life itself, to the terrible and beautiful realization that you were never meant to hold it all together. You were made to dissolve into the mystery. There is a fear rooted deep in the bones of humanity, a fear older than words, older than memory. It whispers, if you let go, you will disappear. This fear is not a flaw. It is not a weakness. It was once our greatest strength, our most fundamental survival instinct. Our ancestors clung to fire, to tools, to one another. Survival demanded it. Letting go meant risking oblivion. Letting go invited death. In primordial caves, the man who did not cling to his spear died. The woman who did not hold on to her child lost them. The clan that did not hold on to its territory was annihilated. Those who did not cling to traditions, to knowledge passed, down to hunting and gathering skills, simply ceased to exist. Attachment equaled survival. It was simple, brutal, inescapable math. Our bodies still carry that memory. In every cell, in every fiber, there exists the primal impulse. Hold on. Do not let go. Your life depends on it. And though our hands now hold different things, status, possessions, identities, the primal fear remains. It pulses silently beneath our modern lives. We feel it when we consider leaving a toxic job, when we think about ending a relationship that no longer serves us, when we contemplate abandoning a belief we inherited but never truly examined, when we imagine letting go of an identity we meticulously built even though it is suffocating us. The body tightens, the throat closes, the chest contracts. Ancestral alarms blare, neurological signals scream, danger, danger, do not let go. Letting go feels like a small death. It threatens the very illusion we call self. And isn't that what we all fear deep down? Not the death of the body, but the dissolution of the ego. Not the end of life, but the end of the story we tell about who we are. Have you ever noticed how your fingers ache when you finally release something you held on to for too long? As if the very act of letting go were a betrayal of your nature. As if opening your hand were a sacrilege against everything your ancestors fought to preserve. That pain is not just physical. It is existential. It is the echo of millions of years whispering, holding on is survival. Who are you without your memories, without your wounds, without your ambitions? This is the question that paralyzes us. That keeps us clinging to empty relationships, jobs we despise, identities that imprison us, possessions that possess us. I am my story, you say. I am my achievements, you insist. I am my scars, you believe. As if you were merely the sum of your experiences and not the consciousness that witnesses them. As if you were the content and not the container. As if you were the waves and not the ocean. We resist because we have been taught that our worth is measured by accumulation of experiences, of knowledge, of victories, of pain. This is the great lie of our culture, that we are what we possess, that we are what we accumulate, that our identity is the sum of our acquisitions, whether material or experiential. How much are you worth, they ask, and they answer with numbers. In a bank account, diplomas on a wall, followers on a social network. But accumulation is a heavy crown, and every king who refuses to lay it down eventually drowns in his own weight. Alexander the Great conquered the known world and wept, because there was nothing left to conquer. Each new acquisition only deepened the void he was trying to fill. Look at how we age, not just by years, but by weight. The weight of unspoken regrets. The weight of words left unsaid. The weight of loves unlived. The weight of fears unchallenged. Observe the faces of the elderly. Some are marked by deep lines of bitterness, the wrinkles of those who spent their lives holding on. Others carry a lightness, a luminous serenity, the marks of those who learn to let go. The truth is simpler, softer, and far more terrifying. You were never the crown, you were always the sky above it. You are not your possessions, you are not your story, you are not your relationships, you are not your achievements, you are not your failures. You are the space in which all these things occur, you are the consciousness that witnesses them. You are the vast sky in which these events are merely passing clouds. When you loosen your grip, the first sensation is terror. A free fall, a void opening beneath your feet. It's like jumping off a cliff without knowing if there's water below. It's like letting go of the bars of a prison cell that, however confining, was at least familiar. The unknown unfolds before you, vast, formless, without maps, without guarantees, and everything you've ever learned, everything your ancestors fought to preserve, screams for you to retreat, to return to the safety of the familiar, to crawl back into the comfort of familiar weight. Stay there. This is the crucial moment, the point of choice, the existential crossroads. You can retreat, reaffirm your attachments, reinforce your chains. Many do, perhaps most. Or you can move forward, breathe into the terror, allow the unknown to envelop you. Beyond the fear there is a vastness, a silence that does not destroy but embraces. This is the secret that spiritual masters across all traditions have tried to communicate. The void is not your enemy. Absence is not a loss. The unknown is not an adversary. They are simply the other side of the door you have been knocking on your entire life. You do not disappear. You expand. Like a drop returning to the ocean, you do not cease to exist. You become the entire ocean. Like a musical note dissolving into silence, you do not end. You become the very possibility of music. And in that expansion, you remember something sacred, something forgotten. You were never meant to carry anything alone. You were never meant to be anything but free. This is the truth your body knows during moments of great joy or profound peace. When boundaries dissolve, when time seems to stop, when you momentarily forget yourself and paradoxically have never been more present. We fear the void because we have forgotten what it is. The void is not absence. It is presence in its purest form. In our noisy, overstimulated culture, we have learned to see silence as a lack, as a mistake to be corrected, as a flaw to be filled. We hate blank spaces. We fear the pauses in conversation. We flee from moments of stillness. We fill every available second with distractions, noise, activities. We are so full of content that there is no room left to simply be ourselves. And thus we forget the true nature of the void, not as a threatening absence, but as the very ground of being, not as an abyss to fear, but as the space that makes all creation possible. Between each beat of your heart, there is a tiny silence. Between each thought, a minuscule space. Between each breath, a moment of pure stillness. These gaps are not flaws in the system. They are the very foundation of experience. Without the space between notes, there would be no music, only a single endless sound. Without the space between words, there would be no language, only an indecipherable noise. Without the space between moments, there would be no time, only static and unmoving now. It is the emptiness that allows movement. It is the space that enables the dance. When you let go and enter the void, you do not find death. You find life without barriers, consciousness without labels, love without possession. What would it be like to experience life without the labels we place on everything, without the constant judgments of good or bad, right or wrong, desirable or undesirable? What would it be like to see the world without the distorted lens of your preferences and aversions, without the opaque filter of your stories and prejudices? What would it be like to love without the need to control, without the constant fear of loss, without the chains of expectation? The void is not a punishment. It is an invitation to sit at the center of yourself, stripped of all pretense, to look into the mirror and see nothing, and in that nothingness, finally see everything. It sounds like a paradox because it is. The logical linear mind, obsessed with categories and definitions, cannot comprehend the void. It cannot understand how nothing can be everything, how loss can be gain, how an ending can be a beginning. It's like trying to explain the color blue to someone who has never seen. It's like trying to describe the taste of salt to someone who has never tasted. Some things must be experienced directly. Notice how we react to silence. We turn on the TV, we reach for the phone, we create noise. Anything to avoid facing the empty space. Anything to flee from the vastness within that we so deeply fear. We fill our homes with objects. We cram our schedules down to the last minute. We saturate our minds with information stimuli, constant distractions. If a moment of stillness arises unexpectedly, we panic. We feel discomfort, anxiety, as if silence were a predator lying in wait. At first it seems unbearable. Silence roars. The mind rebels, thrashing for something to cling to. Memories, fears, dreams, anything to avoid floating freely. It's like an addict going through withdrawal, the body trembling, begging for the familiar substance. The feverish mind inventing horror stories about what will happen if you don't return to your addiction. The addiction to attachment, the addiction to identity, the addiction to control. The mind screams, "You will die without me." The ego roars, "You will disappear." Fear whispers, "You do not exist without your stories. They all lie." But if you stay, if you breathe, if you surrender to the vast dark sky within you, something miraculous happens. Fear melts away. Boundaries dissolve, and you realize the void was never empty. It was always full of you. Not the you cobbled together from fragments and fears, but the true you. The one with no name, no story, no need. The one who has always been present, silently observing behind all your social masks. The one who has witnessed all your highs and lows with the same compassionate acceptance. The one who has never changed even as everything else constantly did. This is the ultimate paradox. We find ourselves precisely when we stop searching. We become whole exactly when we stop trying to fill voids. We discover our true nature just when we abandon all our fabricated identities. Think of young children before the world tells them who they should be. See how they exist fully in the moment. How they carry no burden of yesterday, no fear of tomorrow. How they are pure being. Watch a 2-year-old playing in the sand. They are not doing something important. They are not building their resume. They are not proving themselves to others. They are simply there, fully absorbed in the experience of the moment. This is our original nature. This is our natural state before the world convinced us we needed to become someone, to achieve something, to prove our worth. The secret no one tells you is that the void is the cradle of freedom. It is the space where the soul breathes. It is the garden where love grows wild without fences or conditions. Imagine a glass filled to the brim. Nothing more can be added. There is no room for the new, the unexpected, the grace. Now imagine that same glass emptied. Suddenly there is possibility, there is potential, there is space for life to flow, in all its unpredictable, wondrous forms. To fear the void is to fear your own magnitude. To enter it is to come home. It is to recognize that you have always been infinitely greater than all the stories, identities, and burdens you have carried. That you have always been the ocean, not just a single wave. That you have always been the sky, not just a passing cloud. Letting go is not a one-time act. It is a continuous unfolding. It is not a destination to be reached, but a path to be walked step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment. It is not something you accomplish once and for all. It is a practice, a daily commitment, a constant dance between remembering and forgetting, between holding and releasing. Each day you are given a choice to cling or to release. In truth, you are given this choice not just each day, but in every moment, with every breath, with every heartbeat. In the morning breath, when you wake and feel that familiar weight in your chest, hold on or let go. In the farewell hug, when the fear of loss tightens your heart, hold on or let go. In the unexpected conflict, when anger rises like fire in your throat, hold on or let go. In the painful rejection when shame threatens to define who you are, hold on or let go. In the jubilant victory when pride tempts you to build an identity around it, hold on or let go. In every moment, the same question, will you hold on or will you release? Letting go is not something you force. It is something that happens when you stop resisting. This is a crucial distinction. We cannot force letting go just as we cannot force sleep. The more we try to grasp it, the more it escapes us. The more we strive to achieve detachment, the more we are paradoxically attached to the idea of detachment. It's like trying to smooth the surface of water with your hands. Each attempt only creates more ripples. It begins with a breath, a single conscious breath. That simple, that revolutionary. Inhale, feel the weight you carry. Exhale, allow even a fraction of it to go. Don't try to change anything. Don't force anything, just observe, just feel, just allow. Breath is our first lesson in letting go. We inhale, receiving what life offers. We exhale, returning what was never really ours. It's a constant cycle of taking and giving, receiving and releasing. When a baby is born, its first action is to inhale. When someone dies, their last action is to exhale. Between these two extremes, we are always breathing, always practicing without realizing the art of letting go and receiving. Start small. Let go of a grudge. Let go of a name you call yourself. Let go of the need to be understood. Don't try to climb Everest on the first day. Don't expect to free yourself from all your attachments at once. Start with something small, something that seems manageable. Perhaps it's forgiving a small offense. Perhaps it's setting aside an identity that no longer serves you. Perhaps it's simply admitting that you don't know all the answers. Small acts of letting go create space for great transformations. Notice how space opens within you, tiny at first, like a crack in a wall. Through that crack, light enters. This is how light always enters, not by demolishing the entire wall at once, but by finding the small fissures, the minimal openings, and gradually expanding them with its presence. Look at the leaves in autumn. They don't struggle to stay on the branches. They don't cling out of fear of what will come. They simply let go, dancing with the wind in their descent. They don't think, what if I fall, or what if it hurts, or what if I never come back? They simply follow the natural rhythm of the seasons, trusting that their release is part of something larger, a cycle that has always known what it was doing. The leaves aren't afraid of the ground, because at some level they know they aren't separate from it. They know they will become the soil that will nourish the roots that will sustain new shoots in spring. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning responsibility or love. It means stopping the attempt to control what was never yours to control. This is an essential point. Many confuse letting go with indifference, giving up, or abandonment. Nothing could be further from the truth. Letting go isn't ceasing to care. It's caring so deeply that you respect the inherent nature of each thing, each person, each situation, including your own nature. Letting go isn't stopping action in the world. It's acting from a place of acceptance, not resistance. It's dancing with life, not fighting against it. It means being fully present and yet releasing the outcome. Imagine planting a seed. You prepare the soil. You place it in the earth. You water it. You provide sunlight. But you don't stand there trying to force the seed to sprout. You don't open the soil every hour to check progress. You don't yell at the seed, grow faster. You do your part and then trust the process. You allow nature to follow its course. You let go. It means loving without possession, dreaming without desperation, living without attachment. Loving without possession is like saying, I love you, without adding you are mine. It's celebrating the existence of the loved one without trying to contain them in a box labeled relationship. It's recognizing that true love nurtures freedom, not dependency. Dreaming without desperation is setting intentions, visualizing possibilities, working toward goals, all while keeping hands open, willing to adapt, to change direction, to embrace the unexpected. Living without attachment isn't living without preferences, without desires, without direction. It's living aware that life is constant movement, that the only constant is change, and that our greatest freedom comes from our ability to flow with this reality, not against it. Say I love you without the you are mine. Work for change without demanding it come. Plant the seed without forcing the sprout to appear. It's like playing an instrument. You press the strings or keys, but then you need to release them for the music to continue. If you hold the same note pressed indefinitely, there is no melody. It's in the dance between pressing and releasing that music happens. It's a gentle untying of knots that you once believed were permanent. It's the realization that you are the sky, not the weather. We identify so much with our emotional storms. We say, I am angry, or I am sad, as if we were these temporary states. But have you ever seen a sky say, I am the cloud? Have you ever seen the ocean say, I am the wave? You are the consciousness that witnesses all these passing storms. You are the space in which they occur. Without you, they would have nowhere to appear, but without them, you would still be there. Vast, open, unchanging in your essence. Some days you'll forget. You'll cling again, fear again. This too is part of letting go, forgiving yourself and starting again. This is a crucial point. The path isn't linear. It isn't a constant ascent to a state of perfect detachment. It's a spiral, sometimes going up, sometimes going down, but always returning to the center. There will be days when you'll feel free, light, fully present. And there will be days when you'll find yourself trapped again in old patterns, carrying old weights, fighting old fears. Don't punish yourself for this. Don't turn letting go into another impossible ideal to torture yourself with. When you notice you're holding again, simply note it. Smile gently at yourself and begin again. Again and again. Each moment is a new beginning. Each breath is a new opportunity. Each heartbeat is an invitation to let go of everything and return to what is most essential, most true. Until one day you find yourself standing in the middle of your life, hands open, heart wide, breathing the vastness. And you realize you haven't lost anything, you've gained everything. This is the great revelation. What we feared losing was never really ours, and what we gained by letting go was always there, waiting patiently, beneath all the layers of attachment and fear. You haven't lost your identity. You've discovered a deeper, truer, freer identity. You haven't lost control. You've found the freedom that comes from recognizing that control was always an illusion. You haven't lost security. You've discovered the only real security, the ability to be present with whatever arises. Imagine what a life lived with open hands would be like. What would it be like to wake each morning without the weight of expectations, without the armor of identity, without the burden of the past or the anxiety of the future? What would it be like to move through the world with a sense of lightness, of curiosity, of renewed wonder, like a child seeing everything for the first time, but with the wisdom and compassion of someone who has understood the impermanent nature of all things living? With open hands isn't a life of indifference. It's a life of total involvement, because when we let go of our attachments, fears, and judgments, we can finally be fully present. When we aren't constantly trying to control the outcome, we can really see what's before us. When we aren't always labeling experience as good or bad, we can really feel it in all its complexity. When we aren't perpetually building and defending an identity, we can find true authenticity. Paradoxically, it's only when we stop trying to be someone that we can discover who we really are. Living with open hands means finding joy in flow, not in stagnation. It means recognizing the beauty of impermanence, not as something to be feared, but as something to be celebrated. Think of the 4 seasons. If summer never gave way to autumn, if autumn never yielded to winter, if winter never blossomed into spring, the cycle would be interrupted. Renewal would be impossible. Life in all its wonderful diversity could not exist. It's in change that we find renewal. It's in impermanence that we find possibility. It's in letting go that we find freedom. Living with open hands doesn't mean never suffering again. Suffering is part of the human experience, but there's a difference between the natural pain of life and the additional suffering we create through our attachment, our resistance, our insistence that things should be different from what they are. Pain will come, losses will occur, challenges will arise, but when we learn to let go, we stop transforming that natural pain into prolonged and unnecessary suffering. It's like the difference between being hit by a wave and then allowing it to pass through you versus being hit by a wave and then fighting against it, being dragged by it, being held under it. The wave is the same. Your response to it makes all the difference. Living with open hands means learning to trust, not in a specific outcome, not in an external guarantee, but in your own ability to be present with whatever arises. To flow with the changes, to be reborn as many times as necessary. It's the trust of the bamboo that bends with the wind, rather than the rigidity of the oak that eventually breaks in the storm. Living with open hands isn't for the weak. It requires courage. The courage to face the unknown, to be vulnerable, to allow life to surprise you. It requires humility. The humility to recognize that you don't control the universe, that you don't know everything, that you are part of something much larger than you can comprehend. It requires compassion. Compassion for yourself when you forget and hold on again. Compassion for others who are trapped in their own cycles of attachment and fear. Living with open hands is a revolutionary act in a world obsessed with accumulation, with control, with certainties. It's saying no to fear and yes to life. It's swimming against the cultural current that insists you need more, better, different to be happy. It's discovering that happiness was never about what you have, but about how you relate to what you have, and more importantly, to what you will inevitably lose. Living with open hands is discovering the ultimate truth that you never really owned anything. You merely held everything borrowed for a time. Your body, your relationships, your possessions, your ideas, your identities, all borrowed from the great flow of existence. And when you truly understand this, a deep gratitude arises. An appreciation for each moment, each breath, each experience, not because they will last forever, but precisely because they won't. Like a flower that blooms for just one day, impermanence doesn't diminish beauty, it makes it more precious. Living with open hands is finally realizing that life was never something to be grasped, controlled, or conquered. It was always a gift to be received, appreciated, and eventually returned with gratitude. Now close your eyes, not as an escape from the world, but as a deeper dive into it. Not as a withdrawal, but as a return. Feel the rhythm of your own breath, the ancient and eternal ocean within you. This breath has been with you since the first moment you entered this world. It will be with you until the last moment you leave it. Between these two extremes, each breath is a practice of letting go and receiving, letting go and receiving. You aren't broken, you aren't lost, you're simply full of memories, fears, dreams and illusions, full like an overflowing cup that can't receive anything more, full like a cluttered room where there's no space for movement, full like a sky covered with clouds that has forgotten its own infinite blue. Let them float away, not with force, not with judgment, not with urgency, but with gentleness, with acceptance, with understanding that they served a purpose, but that now perhaps it's time to move on. There's no need to struggle, no need to argue. Just allow. Allow your thoughts to come and go without clinging to them. Allow your emotions to arise and pass without identifying with them. Allow the body's sensations to appear and disappear without resistance. Imagine your hands opening your heart, unfolding your mind, softening. Like the petals of a flower opening to the sun. Like a bird's wings extending before flight. Like ice melting into flowing water. In this space you will hear the subtle voice that has been calling you all along, the voice of life itself. It's not an external voice coming from some distant god or external authority. It's the voice of your own deepest nature, the wisdom that has always been within you, patiently waiting to be remembered. It whispers, "You are already home." You never needed to seek belonging in external approval, in achievements, in possessions or status. You never needed to prove your worth. You never needed to become anything other than what you already are. You are already home, not in a physical place, not in a relationship, not in an identity, but in the simple and radical fact of your own existence, in the miracle of your own consciousness. Feel the weight dissolving, the chains loosening, the walls crumbling. What seemed like a collapse is actually a blossoming. What seemed like a loss is actually a finding. There is nothing to achieve, nothing to conquer, nothing to become. This is perhaps the most radical, most liberating, and most difficult truth to accept in a world obsessed with progress, with improvement, with becoming. What if you were already exactly what you should be? What if there were nothing broken to fix? What if the only problem was the belief that there's a problem to solve? Just this moment, just this breath, just this infinite presence that you have, always been, before the names they gave you, before the expectations they placed on you, before the stories you told yourself. Before all that, you were already complete, already whole, already enough. Stay here a little longer. Breathe a little deeper. Fall a little further. There's nothing to fear in this falling. It's like those dreams where you're falling and falling only to realize you can fly. Until nothing remains but peace. Until nothing remains but everything. A peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. A peace that doesn't depend on everything being right or perfect. A peace that arises naturally when we stop fighting against what is. And when you're ready, not a second before, open your eyes. Not as someone returning from a spiritual journey back to the real world. Not as someone finishing a practice and going back to normal life. But as someone who has realized there is no separation between the sacred and the mundane. That each moment, each breath, each everyday interaction is imbued with the same vastness, the same freedom, the same opportunity to let go and receive. And live. As if you had just been born. As if you were seeing the world for the first time. As if your hands were finally completely empty. Ready to receive what has always been here, the present of the present. The gift of the now. The freedom to simply be. Without expectations about the future. Without regrets about the past. Without the need to be someone special. Without the need to have more or be more. Just this life in all its imperfection and beauty. Just this moment in all its simplicity and depth. And if someone asks you what the secret is, tell them the simplest truth: everything you hold is heavy. But nobody told you you can simply let go. If you found value in this message about letting go, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content on mindfulness and personal growth. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Share this with someone who might need to hear it today, and drop a comment below about what you're ready to let go of. Thanks for watching, and remember, your journey begins with a single breath.